we come to the second narrative, which says that as far as angels are concerned, they don't enter the houses of people who have portraits and pictures and dogs in them. Now, once again, as I said, this is very important that we try to understand this whole scenario in the light of all the narratives which are found regarding dogs and their prohibition. And you'll find out, well, one of there are some narratives which tell us that Gabriel once did not come with wahi, with divine revelation to the Prophet's house. And once, when he came later on, and the Prophet actually asked him the reason for not coming earlier on, or the reason for the delay, he actually told the Prophet that, well, there was a dog who had relieved himself under the bed of the Prophet where he was lying down, and it was causing a stink there because of that potty that he had done there, and therefore he was sensitive to these things, sensitive to stink, and he did not enter. So you'll find that basically it was this narrative which was later on generalized to mean that, well, everywhere where dogs are, angels do not enter such places, because as I said, things were taken per se. They were taken in the absolute sense, and you would come to realize that absolute prohibition that was actually mentioned actually told us or informed us that it was not that because these dogs are impure per se. Only when these dogs are not properly trained and they cause this, they do all sorts of things within the house. They relieve themselves within the house, and they're not properly potty trained. Of course, that is something which is unhygienic as well. And angels themselves are very prone and very sensitive towards hygiene, especially Gabriel. And he actually told this to the Prophet later on, that he didn't enter that. And later on, we are told in those narratives that actually the Prophet had that place washed completely, where that dog had relieved itself. It was a puppy, basically. And then Gabriel started to come again, and he said, well, this is why personally he is not inclined towards such places where there's the stink of a potty being found there. So if we analyze this whole situation, we come to understand that, again, it has been generalized by certain narrators, that they have given this a general, sort of a wording in which it is presented as a principle, well, angels don't enter places where there are dogs. Whereas the actual happening which took place and which was the cause of this generalization was that the particular dog had relieved himself, and Gabriel never came because of that stink that was present. And later when he came, he actually informed the Prophet of this reason. And therefore, today, if these dogs are properly trained and they don't relieve themselves, then again, there's no reason to believe that their entry or the angels don't enter such places simply because there are dogs there. So in other words, what we can understand is that the prohibition which is being mentioned here is regarding Gabriel delivering divine revelation, and that too because of his own sensitive nature, that he would not come into a house where the Prophet was, in which such a stink was present, because the dog was not properly trained. And this generally became to be later on understood as if it was a general statement by the Prophet that all angels don't enter all houses which have all kinds of dogs. So you see, there was a generalization made out of this incident by narrators. So what we can now understand and gauge from this whole happening is that as far as dogs are concerned, I would say, we have expressly misunderstood their placement in our culture as pets. So neither are they impure, neither are they a cause of not letting angels enter our houses. Both these had a specific background. One had a background, I would say, which most scholars have pointed out, for a rabid dog, and the Prophet was actually talking about a rabid dog. And the other is regarding a particular situation in which actually Gabriel did not enter with divine revelation because the dog had relieved himself under the Prophet's bed. And these unfortunately became two generalizations. So if this is understood in this manner, we can clearly see and clearly understand that dogs have to be dealt in the same way as I just said at the beginning of this session, that as any other animal or any other pet. It could be a matter of personal choice. For example, that I would not like to keep a dog or if I keep a dog, I would change my clothes. But it's not mandatory for you to change your clothes when you pray if a dog has touched you or even licked you in any way, because, as I said, it does not. The Sharia does not prohibit it. It could be a matter of your personal discomfort. It could be a matter of your personal choice that you still feel that you'd like to wash that place where the dog licked you or where the dog touched your clothes. But again, as I said, that's a personal choice. As far as the Quran is concerned, as far as the Sharia is concerned, this particular label of a dog being filthy or a filthy animal, for various reasons which have been mentioned in certain ahadith and been generalized, is a big misconception. And therefore, I would like to express this fact that we need to revisit these sources once again. We need to understand these hadiths once again and find out, and actually not only find out, but make amends for the immense pain, I would say, so to speak, that has been caused to the dog community for centuries because they have been maltreated and mistreated.
My other point is that Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salam, angel of mighty powers, Allamahu Shadidul Quwa, he has disliked the dog. So if Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salam has been praised in Quran many times, or if he dislikes something, we should. I, being a dog lover community, still it disturbs me.
I understand. Right.
So
I understand your question.
from these 2 points, that only if you have a purpose, then
Right.
you should keep it. From these 2 points.
You see, what you need to understand is that Gabriel did not express his dislike for a dog. That's not the case. The narrative does not say so. If you go into details, you'll find out he expressed his dislike because the dog had relieved himself. He had, he had relieved himself under the bed of the Prophet, and the stink was so much that it had become unbearable. And Gabriel said that as far as such a situation is concerned, he is not prone to come into such houses. So it's not the dog itself, but the potty that he had done under the bed of the Prophet that was a cause of concern for Gabriel. So I think we should understand that Gabriel never pointed to the dog. It was to what the dog had done as a result.
Sir, my question was from the second hadith, as you said, that is the hadith, it was said for Jibreel alayhi salam, so it is specific for him or any angel, and does it apply to present situation? That
it was like specific to him. Of course, as I said, it was a specific narrative which later on became to be generalized as if all angels have the same inclination. Because you see, regarding the Prophet, we know that the Quran was specifically brought down to him by Gabriel, and it was he who visited him regularly, not other angels. And it was he who expressly informed the Prophet once that he had not come because of this situation which had arisen. And later on, we have a generalization of this incident by narrators who have actually pointed out that instead of just Gabriel, they have actually transformed the archangel or the head angel or the chief angel as if the same was the case with all angels. And again, it was the case with all houses, all dogs. Whereas, of course, as you can see from this narrative, it relates to a specific situation in which wahi or divine revelation was being transmitted by an angel to a prophet of God. And it was his personal distaste and dislike for an atmosphere in which a dog had relieved himself. So other than that, and for all other situations, this does not hold any bearing. It does not bear any link with that.
So, sir, does it apply to the present situation, like of any other angels?
It does not. It cannot. That's what we are explaining. That the particular prohibition was just Gabriel himself expressing his dislike, and it was generalized as if it is for all times and for all angels. The incident was just regarding Gabriel.
Okay, thank you, sir.